pretty sure I should be live now. The chat is enabled, and I didn't actually get a chance to fully prepare for this one because the level 3 one went a little bit over time, so I'll try and keep this one pretty short. I do want to discuss the level 2. Let me just move this over here so I can see any chat questions that may come in. I do want to discuss the level 2 standard and when it's due. So the due date for this is, well, it was already due, but it doesn't matter. Okay, if you didn't get it turned in, it's okay. Don't panic. You pretty much got until, I think I said around about week. I think I said the end of this week originally. But I'm just going to bump that back to the end of the school holidays, which is around about the, I'm going to make it roughly the 17th or so. I think the 11th. So if the school holidays start on next Monday, so that's week 1 of the holidays, week 2 of the holidays, so we'll make it about the 11th. And with this, a lot of the stuff I have seen. Okay, I've seen it in class, especially the modeling. So this is what we want to do. I'm not going to go through this standard. I'm going to go through the task. And the task is here, 91897, Year 12, develop an outcome following conventions. So on here, apply conventions to develop a design for an outcome. Your task is to design a website, etc. We've gone through this. I don't need to do that again. Your initial research. You need to identify and explore the context. Pretty much this here, these words here, it's just an example of how many words I think would cover it adequately and at kind of excellence level 2 level. You may be able to do it in less. You may take more. You don't have to hit that word count. So I get asked this quite a lot. You do not have to hit that word count, especially if you think you've covered everything and you're just kind of putting in extra fluff words just to bump it out. Don't do that. It just makes it harder for me to kind of understand what you're actually saying when you write all this verbose stuff that doesn't mean anything. So don't worry too much about those, just kind of focus more on this bit here. This bit here, who are the end users and what is their interest in the outcome? You should be able to identify a series of end users. So you don't have to identify specific people. And at the moment, you don't even really have to talk to them because it may not be possible for you to do so. Okay, you can't talk to the other people in your class, but they may be the end users of the outcome. What are some requirements they need from the outcome? Remember that you're an end user as well. And if you're making a game, well, you know what you like in games. If you're making a website, then maybe it's for your sports team, maybe it's for a business. You can talk to the people about that. You could phone them up, you could email them. There's ways to communicate with them at this time. If you're doing the 3D model, you're gonna have to think a little bit outside the box here. So what is someone that's looking for 3D models to make a game with? What are they gonna actually be looking for? So that's what you need to think about in there. We've discussed that in class, I've talked about it. There's quite a few things that they might be looking for, but you need to think about them, think back to what we've discussed, and write some of those down and turn them into requirements for your outcome. Researching existing solutions. Okay, so providing examples of similar programs, sites, databases, etc. Now, keep in mind that a lot of this is covered in both the game design document that I've given you and the 3D stuff that I've given you. So I'm pretty sure I put that on the classroom. And if I haven't, I'll put it up at the end of this. So we've got here, I'm pretty sure I put here we go, 3D modeling, planning, resource. That stuff is in there. So that's kind of initial research there. And a lot of the stuff in the early part of the game design document, which I have put on, if I can't, I'll add it all in a new section at the top. I'll add it to this assessment task bit here. I'll just add all the files there. So you can just click that top one, everything will be there. But the game design document will cover a lot of this stuff as well. Researching existing solutions. Provide examples of conventions to follow within the language. Now I've got an exemplar for this, which I'm just going to bring up. This is kind of a mix of level 2 and level 3 stuff, so I'm not going to put it on the classroom, but I have gone down, and I know you probably won't be able to read any of that. I've talked about some conventions down here, just as a summary from things that I've found. Okay, and it might be hard to read, so I might just change the font for the time being. We'll put it in Calibri, and I'll turn the font size up to 14 for now. So there's some stuff here that I've talked about when it comes to conventions. So I've just linked all the Godot style guide, and if I was to open that, this is the style guide for Godot. These are the conventions that I should follow when I am writing Godot script. There'll be some things that you can find for Blender, but like I've said in class, if you type in Blender conventions, you're going to get a whole lot of things that have probably been cancelled now, where you can go and meet Blender Guru, and he's going to tell you what to do, and he's really good. Like you guys have used some of his tutorials; they're really good. But that's not the kind of convention we're talking about. So what you may have to look up is 3D modeling principles of Blender. It's kind of another word that will mean very similar to what we're talking about here. So that's that initial research bit, identifying those conventions. Then, I've got a bit here. This is the guide for existing solutions. Okay, so this is this bit here, research existing solutions. And this is just expanding on that a little bit. Okay, so for a website, a convention might include some of these things. For a game, these things. For a database, you don't need to cover all of them. If you're making a game, you don't need to talk about databases. This is just some examples here that you can follow. Then we've got the main part of it, the generating design ideas. And you need to generate several design ideas using the conventions you identified. So if you're one of the conventions you identified, and I'll go with the cliche that I always use of the control scheme. Okay, you can design a control scheme for your game, and it should follow those conventions. You may change a little thing. Can anyone confirm that? Because it shouldn't be black. Like I can see myself on YouTube. I've got the preview here. I can see myself on YouTube. I'm pretty sure others can. I'll just double check though, because otherwise that'll be. Oh yeah, it's working for me. Might want to reload the chat or the page. Yeah, cool. If not, you'll be able to watch it. If you can't get it to work, you'll be able to watch it later. But if you can hear me, I haven't really gone over much yet, just talking about the document a little bit. I'm probably going to just only take 5 more minutes, so I don't want to bore you all. But this generate design ideas bit, you've actually done so much of it, okay? So you've done tutorials in Godot, and you may not be able to actually provide me the physical evidence of it. So you probably can't go, here's my Godot file, because it may still be at school. Or here's all the Blender stuff that I tried out and created. It may still be at school. That's okay. Maybe you didn't take screenshots of it. That's also okay. What you will need to do here is to just write down what you actually did. Okay, what you did and what things you learned from it. Not just what you did, but what you learned from it. Okay, so what you could take away from that and so on. And then lastly is justify the design. And I'd say that's about 400 words. So you're looking at to about a page to half a page, half a page to a page there. And these are some things that you might consider when you're justifying your design. Now, I am going to add a little thing that you can do to discuss implications. So it's a little task, and you can probably add it in at the top here. So if I just add in a 5, discuss implications. You've already done this, in fact. Okay, a lot of the stuff here that you talked about is discussing implications. but we just kind of probably should put it in there and make it pretty explicit. Okay, so with this bit, generating design ideas, this is a lot of the stuff in the game design document. So for example, the flowcharts that you've done, or sketches of an interface. I've got my exemplar, which it's got some of this stuff in it, and I'll just flick through. So I've talked a little bit about in-game UI here. Keep in mind, this is just a very brief exemplar, just to cover things. It may not be the most in-depth. The UI during normal exploration will have no user interface on the screen, or have no HUD, that's what I should say. Heads up display, except a compass. So right at the top there's a compass. This will allow the player to feel more immersed in the game environment. So I've given a thing here, and I've given a reason for it. What I haven't given is feedback. Okay, so I should put in here, needs feedback. Okay, you can give your own feedback. You are an end user to this. You can share this document with others, but you do need feedback. That is important. Finally, justifying the design. If you have any questions about that, just ask. Just email me and ask. That's fine. This is what you'll need to submit: initial research and end user requirements, your design ideas, your modeling, the feedback evidence, the final design, which should be the game design document, and the like the 3D model concept stuff. I'm pretty sure I have gone through that because I showed it to you before. And the justification and the implications have been explained and addressed. Now I haven't changed this, I haven't added this here. It does say something about text adventure. I'll get rid of that because this was, I modified this from last year's assessment, and I'm giving you a bit more freedom this year because you're doing less projects. But if this goes on for longer than the 4 weeks, then what I may have to do for the second project is, rather than let you have the freedom that you've had to design your outcome and create it, is to actually specify a task. So it will still be in the area that you opted to do, whether it was website, database, game, Blender, or whatever for the second project, but I'd have to specify a task just so that I can deliver the material to everyone that's relevant to you, because you won't have the same kind of in-class environment where I can say that this video is not really appropriate, or he does some things in here that are questionable and so on, and not really suited to it, or they don't follow conventions at all. And you know what I mean, that guy, he doesn't follow the Godot scripting conventions. He just goes completely off script and does his own thing, and it gets quite confusing when you look at everyone else's one. So that's the assessment task there. It is due at the end of the original term, which is the 11th. I'll put this up on the classroom. If you have any questions, please send me an email, and then I can answer these questions tomorrow. So I probably won't do another one tomorrow because there's nothing more for me to really discuss here. But if you do have questions, then I can do another one tomorrow. So if you have any questions about particular things in the task, whether you want me to go through something. I did get your email, so a few of you in the chat there I can see. You did email me asking me to go through your document. Yes, I can do that, and I'll try to do that this afternoon and give you some feedback on that and on your ideas. All right, so once again, there's going to be some leniency with marking. I've seen a lot of stuff. Okay, I've seen everyone working and doing the modeling. So if you can't provide that evidence, there's a good chance that I've seen it. But the written stuff, the research, you can do that. If there's no more questions, then I'll finish up here, and that's been about 15 minutes, and then I'll get ready for the year 11 one. But if there's no more questions, then, and I realize there's about a 5 to 10 second delay, so I'll, yes, you can. Yeah, you can unturn it in. Don't worry too much about the due date. With everything going on, I'm not concerned about it. Also, one other thing, if you have issues with computers, so maybe originally you had decided to do like a Blender project, but you've only got a Chromebook at home which can't run Blender, talk to me, okay? Because we'll be able to make some adjustments, okay? Maybe you can start doing a different task, or we can focus on an external or something like that, and when we get back to school, then you can do that. So we can make some changes. But no one said anything to me about that yet. So I'm assuming that you've all got access to Blender or whatever it is that you're working with at home. Godot. If you've got Steam, you've got access to Blender and you've got access to Godot. If you are doing the web or the database, you will have to install Django, but I've got those videos on how to do it, and you've got the videos on how to do it. If you have questions on that, then just ask. All right, so I'll finish up there, and this video will be on YouTube anyway, so you can have a look at that. I'll make some playlists for it. If there's no questions,